to try and record this here. There's a little bit of wind, but so I have the APs mounted. They're not pointed directly at each other though, so the speeds aren't gig in both directions at the moment. Right now it's only gig from my house to my brother's house right there, and you can kind of see right there, that's where the AP's at. I need to get back over there and remount it and this one so that they're pointing directly at each other. When I mounted them, it was really cold, kind of in a storm, and I just wanted to get them up real quick. I also ran conduit through my house out to this part, and I'm going to clean these cables up. I got some outdoor cable to do this with, and I'll be doing that over there as well at my brother's house. So we're probably, I want to say, probably 200 feet away is the distance, and like I said, I get about a gig from his house to mine, but from my house to his, it's about 200 to 300 megs. So, which will be cleared up as soon as I remount these and aim them at each other, get them a little more directly pointed at each other. So, a little bit of a ramble, but yeah, so I will also show you a test, speed test between houses, but it won't be any different than what I just said. But just for the sake of showing, that will happen. Also, after I remount these, I will do another test as well. That'll probably not be in this video. Alright, so back inside now. I was about to do the speed test to show you, and I realized that the server at my brother's house that I used to do the speed test with is sitting right there. My server took a dump yesterday, and I tested all the components. They're all sitting strewn across my bench here. It wasn't power draw. At first I thought it was the power supply, so I brought my brother's server over here, grabbed his power supply and tested it, and same results. And then I pulled out all the cards individually for just to see if maybe that was it. Nope, none of the cards were the problem. Hard drives weren't, of course. It doesn't even get to where it posts. It just kind of tries to turn on and then immediately off. And it wasn't the RAM or the processors. It ended up being the motherboard. It has taken its final dump on me. This has dumped on me several times, and I've been able to rescue it, but not this time. So I'm in the process of upgrading this, or figuring out if I want to replace just the motherboard, or maybe it's time to get some new hardware. I bought this used a couple years ago, and it's worked off and on for the past couple years, and most of my problems with this system has just been the motherboard. I guess when I first bought this, I initially wanted to run Exchange servers, domain controllers, and a router off of this just in a virtual environment, because it was dual 8-core hyper-threaded processors with, at the time it was going to be 64 gigs of RAM. And anyway, so I spun up those things, and it turned out there was a huge bottleneck on the I/O for this thing. So I could only have one or two virtual machines up at a time without it tanking my throughput getting to the processor and out. And so I scrapped the idea of using this as my virtual server, and it just kind of became my encoding server. So when I get my movies, I have a big stack of movies that I've bought, and this is just the recent stack. I have a bunch of them in bins, and I rip them and I put them on my Plex server, so I don't have to worry about my kids ruining the discs. And Anyway, this thing's been great for handbrake. That's been basically the only thing I've been able to use it for, because it doesn't tax the I/O. It's basically just processor based. And so right now I'm looking at either replacing the motherboard, as I said, or getting new hardware, and just looking at some benchmarks. These are second gen Xeons, so the E5 2670, and they're 8-core hyper-threaded. They perform quite well. I can encode 1080p at a little above 30 frames a second, no problem, and which is a lot better than what I used to use, which was that box before. Actually, it was this box, but before that it was that box. So I guess this is more of an update video of my current PC situation, but also of my link between houses. I'll be fixing that, as I said earlier, but I'm also, just to go a little further on the server issues that I'm having with this, if I don't replace the motherboard, I'll end up probably going with an AMD Ryzen processor. Initially, it's looking like I'll probably go with the Ryzen 3600, just cheapo at the moment. Looking at the benchmarks, computational wise, it'll be able to handle the handbrake load that I throw at this thing just about as well as both of these processors combined. The handbrake, it doesn't actually utilize all of the cores, so even if I just had a single one of these processors, it would actually make no difference. When I'm encoding, it would take maybe 30% of my processing power, and it was only on 4 to 8 of the logical cores that it would actually put the load. So I'd end up actually encoding multiple sessions of handbrake at once. And I wish I could have recorded that, but, well, at this point, not going to happen, because I can't get it to boot. So anyway, I guess I'll do when I make my final decision, I'll do a video on that as well. And at this point, it's looking like the AMD solution. And eventually, so I'm starting off with a 3600X, and eventually I'll probably move up to either a 3900 or a 3950 once their prices come down on the used market. So anyway, that is my update video, so there you go.